What is up, Rad Potential YouTube, and welcome to today's Radformational video. This is a continuation of the brand new FD RX7 REW compression test video. In these next two videos, I'm going to be doing a variety of different compression tests on a variety of different engines with a variety of different compression testers in order to better help me and you guys understand what and how compression works inside of a rotary engine with different testers, different compression ratios, and different ways that you can manipulate the compression in these engines. So, if you want to learn more about this stuff, hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. And go check out the other videos on the channel detailing how to build these engines, compression test these engines, and follow along with the full car rebuilds and stuff that we do here. I would much appreciate it. If this is your first time, welcome. This is a Radformational video. What I've got here is a piston engine compression tester and a rotary engine compression tester. They are very different in how you measure the compression using these tools on a rotary engine. The rotary engine compression tester is designed for one of these engines. Not that the name tells us otherwise, right? Rotary engine compression tester. And this is a rotary compression tester brand unit. I actually have two of them, and we're going to be checking the accuracy between all three of these testers, including the piston tester. So, the process with this one, which much of you guys probably already know, is you simply put the sensor in the trailing spark plug hole, you crank the engine over. This tester corrects for altitude and RPM, finding out from a commenter on the last video that these generally have a barometer built into them so it can sense the atmospheric pressure of where the tester is in the world so that it can account for elevation. In addition to this, accounts for cranking RPM. Now, in this video, where we're going to be comparing the results of the rotary compression tester to a piston compression tester, we're actually going to compare the non-corrected values from the rotary compression tester to the values from this piston compression tester, because the piston compression tester does not give us a corrected value. Now, Mazda provides a chart on how to calculate the corrected value yourself. I will put it up on the screen right now. Now, I'm not going to go through the math and calculate the corrected value for the piston compression tester results right now, but I will put the corrected values as calculated from the chart on the screen as we do them on this engine. This engine is a brand new 13B REW engine. It has 9.0 to 1 compression. And yes, you can still get these engines brand new. Mazda still does make them for the FD RX7 and for the RX8. Right now, they are getting a bit hard to find, meaning you can order them, but it might be a while before you get one. Contact your local Mazda dealer, search the web, you can generally find these engines. We got this one about 8 months ago. If you've been following along on the channel for a while, it's just been in a box, the same box we took it out of, chilling under my shelf, in the way, over there. It was in the whole Radix 7 thing, it was sitting in the background. So this one's been here for a while, and I believe they've raised the prices on these since we got this one, so I'm not going to comment exactly to what we paid for this one, but we bought it about 8 months ago. So, we're going to use this engine, and we're going to be testing the rear rotor of this engine with these three different compression testers. So I have the piston tester and two rotary compression testers. So I've got the piston tester hooked up to the trailing hole. I've removed the Schrader valve from the bottom of this tester so it will not retain the pressure inside of this gauge. So what we're going to be watching for, and hopefully I can show this clearly, is the bounces on the gauge of where the needle goes to. So we will be able to see the compression of each face, but it's going to be happening as the engine turns over. So we're going to hear whoosh, 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 and the needle is going to be going whoosh, 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 and we're going to have to watch where that needle peaks at to get each face's compression. Not exactly the most accurate, but this will give us kind of a net compression of the engine for, let's say, an average of all the faces, because this is going to happen fairly fast. Okay, thing to note, 90, 100, 110, 120. You could see that the needle was bouncing up to about the 110 psi mark on this gauge. I've inserted the sensor for the rotary compression tester here. Powered this thing up, begin cranking, effectively just following the thing here. There is no way that this engine is going to start in its current condition, so there's instructions here on how to make sure your engine doesn't start while you're doing a compression test. That would be very harmful to the sensor. So how this works is it actually has a set time that it cranks the engine over in order to figure out the RPM, and it's going to give us 3 individual PSI numbers for each face of the rotor. So we'll administer test number 1. We're going to do 3 or 4 tests on each one of these rotary compression testers, and you will see the variation in the numbers. So we can see 125, 131, 111 at 267 RPM. Test number 1. Let's do it again. Alright, same RPM, which it's a fresh battery, it's only running this. And we're looking at 131, 129, 124. Numbers are changing a little bit. Let's run it again, 3rd time. I'm going to get a better key. Okay, I upgraded my key to where now I can just clip this alligator clip on. As you can see though, having the test be incomplete throws these numbers all over the place. So we had 120, 120, and 90 coming across here, and the bar is all going crazy. So, test number 3, blue tester. $123, $131, $128. Let's go test number 4. $129, $126, $119. So all of those values that I just read off to you are uncorrected. The corrected values won't be that much different because this starter is cranking close to 250 RPM, which is where these tests get normalized. So the corrected values there were, let's zoom in and you can watch this cycle through. The corrected values were not far off from the original values. So let's switch this to the red tester. You can see both of my testers. The sensor on the left is the new sensor that came with the blue tester. It's probably 2 years newer than the red one, which is the sensor on the right. You can see the shaping is a little bit different, the knurling is a little bit different. I also know that the sensor on the right, we've had to get a replacement over the years, replacement sensor for this red one, and this is the new sensor from that one. One thing that's very common for these sensors is you can see where the wire comes out of the back of the sensor. As I spin this into the engine, that wire has to spin and get rotated, especially if you're just doing this with one hand like I am now. In an ideal world, in order to keep this lead of wire from coming apart with multiple uses right here, you need to spin all of this together with 2 hands. Our previous sensor actually came apart inside the wires right here from just us installing it improperly. Alright, this is effectively the same tester. It's the same process, just a little bit older of a unit. And let's see the numbers we get out of this tester. Okay. Notice this tester completed its run cycle much faster than the other one. Let's look at these uncorrected values. And our uncorrected values are 135, 136, and 128. Right off the bat here, comparing this tester to my blue tester values were 128, 125, and 118, which are a whole 10 psi lower than what this one is showing us right now. So let's run this a few more times. 132, 132, 127. Notice the corrected values are very close. Same thing. Still about 8 to 10 psi higher. So here we have 129, 132, 128. Normalizing back down a little bit. Let's run it a fourth time. $131, $129, $133. What have we learned so far testing these different compression testers? First things first, not all compression testers are created equal, which means that not all compression data that you see from any compression tester or any engine build is necessarily corrected and normalized to the exact same test. Considering that two of the same brand compression testers can read, so we're 5 to 10 psi off, right? 118, 128, 125, and here we're sitting 130, 128, 132. Our biggest spread was 10 psi. 10 psi as a function of the whole value of 130 psi is just under 10% error in the tester. Also to note, the uncorrected values from the piston engine compression tester were around 110 to 115 psi, which is a whole nother 10 to 12% different than these two compression testers as well. So what I wanted to show in this video, guys, is that when you're compression testing any engine, there is a decent margin of error in the testers themselves, in the engine itself. The thing that we're going to explore in the next video is this engine from Mazda is full of assembly lube, meaning it's got oil. You can see it spraying out whenever I crank it. Just watch these exhaust ports. You can see that haze spraying out of the engine. What that is assembly lube, oil, fuel from when they ran these engines, etc. All of that stuff plays a factor into the compression of this engine. So stay tuned for the next video, because I'm going to be filling this engine full of gasoline, trying to wash out all of the assembly lube from here to see how low I can get these compression testers to read on this brand new engine. In addition to, we're going to take other engines that I've got, my Bridgeport engine over here, my truck engine, and we're going to try to get those compression numbers as high as possible by filling them full of oil right before we compression test them. So if you're interested in seeing that information, definitely check it out in the next video. If you have any questions or your compression testing experience, keep in mind I am giving you the information that I can acquire with the tools that I have. So I've never had a Mazda branded compression tester or taken a car to a Mazda dealership to get a compression test, but these are the most common and the most well-renowned, when you're selling a car, ways to provide compression data. So if you have any questions about any of that, or, like I said, your experiences with compression tests, drop them in the comments below. This is by no means any way for me to try to prove, inflate, make any sort of thing about my engine rebuilds, say that they have better or worse compression than anything else. This is simply because when I go through auctions selling cars, I look at on Bring a Trailer, I look at everyone asking about compression tests. The data is all over the place for everyone's compression tests. If you go on Bring a Trailer, you can find a sub 50,000 mile RX-7 with 85 psi compression, or you can find a 75,000 mile RX-7 with its original engine with 130 psi compression. So what I'm trying to do is provide a good video series about understanding how these tests are done and how they can be manipulated, so that potential buyers, potential owners of these cars, and current owners of these cars have a good understanding as to what information you're getting from a compression test and how the test has been administered on your car. So each one of these videos in the next series, we're going to go into a deep dive about each one. In addition to, when we get to my cars, which I know are not perfect, I'll be able to talk to why maybe one rotor face is lower than the other. We'll do a hot versus cold test. We'll do another video where we're actually going to compare compression ratios in these engines and their respective compression. Kind of just diving into the nitty-gritty about compression of a rotary engine. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Keep it rad. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Guys, it's daylight when I'm filming a video. Letty, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Do you think that my 10-to-1, 90,000 mile, completely wrecked RX-8 Renesis engine is going to make the highest compression out of all of these engines? Or do you think it's going to be the lowest? Dang. Letty doesn't have much faith in the old Green Machine RX-8. Peace, guys.